Hello YouTube, this is Necrostevo and you're watching my 60-second narrated Wi-Fi battle. I hope y'all are doing very well. It is Wednesday, so happy hump day. Wednesdays are actually also the day that I have Pokemon League here at the university. So Wednesdays are all around a good day for me. For those of you who, I know sometimes people don't have classes on Fridays, you're one day away from your weekend, so look forward to that. This is actually an OU match that I had against one of my Twitter followers, Min. That's M-Y-N. We had a good match. I don't play a lot of OU. I typically find it to be kind of boring unless the players I'm going against are skilled, or unless I get to use some really unconventional stuff. This is the same OU team that I had last time. He starts off with Will Buffett, which I really don't care about. I see Will Buffett as a chance to set up on it, and I can't switch out, so it's really up to him if he wants to let me get up on my hazards or not. Well, he just stays in there, which means I'm going to get up to put up all my hazards. And looking at the team preview, I knew he did not have a spinner. So the first 4 or 5 turns of the battle are just me putting up all my hazards and trying to figure out what moves this Will Buffett has. Will Buffett, of course, can only learn certain moves between Why Not and evolving into a Will Buffett, so it's very easy to figure out what moveset they have. But now that I have my entry hazards up, I think I need one more layer of spikes at this point. No, I tried a Thunder Wave just to try to stall to see what he's going to do. Because if he counters me, Will Buffett has enough HP that countering a Power Whip at roughly half HP is going to kill me. But, you know, at this point I'm like, Ferrothorn kind of did his job anyway, because his job is to put up the entry hazards. And he does call the counter on that turn, so he is able to kill my Ferrothorn. Again, he has an early 5-6 lead on me, but it's not too big of a deal in the long run. Well, Buffett, in the TV show, at first I found him kind of annoying because of the whole Will Buffett and the fact that Jesse actually got him completely on accident. But he ended up being okay. Team Rocket now in the show is a little bit kind of badass compared to a lot, especially the rest of the characters. But anyways, though, more stalling afoot, I go out into Sableye knowing that I can completely wall this thing essentially because he can't use Destiny Bond. He can't use Safeguard, and I don't have any attacking moves, so that means Mirror Coat and Counter aren't going to work. So I was trying to force him to realize that and go out into something else. So I just burn him so I could get residual damage on him, especially since the Safeguard is down now. But he doesn't realize that. He just stays in and continues trying to counter or Mirror Coat me. But that's fine by me. I think Will Buffett... I'm going to put some Pokefacts about Will Buffett at the bottom of the screen, because I think this is the first time I fought a Will Buffett. Unfortunately, he was Uber, and now he's not really... There's a lot of things that can pretty much one-shot him or just pretty much come in and set up on them, so Will Buffett isn't seen nearly as much, and as you can see here, he's kind of just set up fodder for a lot of different things. I do think they can be effective if used properly, as more of a threat killer, maybe, but... I lead Will Buffett. You don't see that very often, and for good reason. But let's see, what other changes have there been? Sableye recently went to UU alongside Alakazam, which is great. It's good to see Sableye popping up in the UU. Granted, it's exclusively because of his new ability, but it's still nice to see. One generation ago, you would not have ever seen Sableye being used that much. So, if you all have not done so already, be sure to go vote on the Pokemon Global Link voting thing. I voted for Venusaur, but be sure to go vote so that you can get some random Pokemon with their Dream World ability. Don't vote for something like Arceus, because those don't have Dream World abilities. And don't vote for something like Metapod. Yes, you can vote for those, but that does not mean you should. But you can vote for anything you want, and then come next February, I think they're going to release it. Anyways, though, finally, after all that unnecessary stalling, pretty much, he finally swaps out into Glaceon, which takes almost half its HP from the entry hazards. And I burn it on the switch-in. I think I just predicted that he was going to swap out, actually. Otherwise, his Will Buffett was going to stay in and die. There wasn't much point anyway, because he let his Will Buffett get down to the point where its HP would be taken out by the entry hazards upon switching back in. So, I guess he really just wanted to see what sets I had or something like that. Just to make sure he wasn't some type of weird setting up set, I go ahead and taunt the Glaceon, because, as it said a lot, you don't want to waste a good sub unless you're running the risk of them setting up on you or something like that. But now I know that he can only attack with Ice Beam or Shadow Ball. He may have a hidden power. Glaceon's move pool is fairly shallow. Interesting that he went for Shadow Ball against Sableye, as Ice Beam would have done more damage because of stab and all that. Anyways, though, Tentacruel was going to come in, soak that hit up very, very nicely. I could have gone ahead and set down some Toxic Spikes, but he didn't have that many things that really cared about Toxic Spikes. Interestingly, my Tentacruel, who has no speed investment, outspeeds that Glaceon. So maybe it was more bulky or something. I'm not really sure. I just thought that was interesting. You may have also noticed that all of his Pokemon are named Muhammad. That made remembering what his Pokemon had, what Pokemon he had, a little bit difficult. Normally, before each battle, I write down what my opponent is going to use, and then as it goes on, I write down all the moves. I'd be interested to hear if you guys do the same thing. But this battle, I kind of just was winging it because I wanted to get some more testing on this OU team before I go against Moody for that OU tournament. Because this may be the team I use. I have another team I'm thinking about using. Or I may use a variation of this team, but overall, since I don't play a lot of OU, I want to get in some practice. Tentacruel takes two Thunderbolts, a Thunderbolt and a Shadow Ball very, very, very well, mainly because max special defense, and I'm able to get in some nice damage onto the Gengar. Now, I figured he was either going to go for Shadow Ball again, or Psychic, maybe. Either way, I knew that Sableye could take those pretty well because it's more specially defensive. And I take that very well. I could take two more of those actually after Leftovers recovery. So knowing that, I just wanted to go ahead and burn him to maybe try to force him to switch out so that he doesn't take more residual damage. I was expecting maybe he was Expert Belted, which is why he was doing more damage to Tentacruel. And I knew I could take another Thunderbolt, so I just was going to stay in and recover up several times. But unfortunately, he gets the Parahax on me. That doesn't matter for speed because Prankster allows me to go faster than him anyway. But it does matter in the sense that if I get paralyzed once, he's going to knock me out because I won't be able to recover off the damage. So I recover once, which is fine. I need to get two more off. So the first one, no problem there. We're looking good. We are looking good. Second one, I think I get the second one off. He Shadow Balls, which is good. He switched over from Thunderbolt to Shadow Ball. Maybe he was fishing for the Paralyze, actually, now that I think about it. But you can see that they do about the same amount of damage, especially after Leftovers. In fact, I'm gaining back a little bit of HP every time he attacks. So, that's the turn I get paralyzed. That's really unfortunate because he's going to kill me. But, you know, if you're stalling, something bad is bound to happen to you. I normally don't play stall. I don't know if you guys would notice my play style, but typically it's more balanced or more offensive. So, running a stall team is really not my thing. And this is kind of a more offensive stall team because I have sweepers on it. And Salamence is in there to get the phasing going. I do come in and Death Fodder my Tentacruel just to kind of make sure he stays in and kills me. I could have gone out to Alakazam and hit him, but I've had bad luck with my Alakazam. It has a weird speed number because of my IVs, so I really didn't want to risk that. He goes out to Crawdaunt, and I was looking at that going, because I was a double down. Of course, double downs are the best types of downs, but this is a weird situation because Crawdaunt's adaptability allows it to hit very, very hard, even with the Intimidate. And here, he outspeeds me because I don't have very much speed on Salamence. And that's after an Intimidate. His Crunch does half. So, that's a ton of damage from a Crawdaunt. With that Dragon Tail, though, he's pretty much going to be dead after the entry hazards. And I roar him out into his Garchomp. Garchomp, of course, is Uber. And my opponent, we had 2 or 3 battles, and he kept bringing... First battle, he brought Swift and Drizzle. This battle, he brought Garchomp. And then on the third battle, he didn't bring any Ubers. So, I just don't think he was familiar with what has gone Uber and blah, blah, blah. He just thought, I think, legendaries in general are what's not allowed. But anyways, we get to see here why kind of Garchomp is Uber, just because of how bulky it is and how fast it is, and I don't really have anything that can take it out in one hit from that amount of HP. This is a life or max attack, not max attack, max speed, max attack, close combat, and that wasn't even close to finishing it off, so I don't know if he's just more bulky or something, but the fact that just literally I didn't have a chance of even taking that out really kind of depressed me. I need a nickname for that Infernape. But Infernape, at least you put it in range so that something else can come in and kill it. Of course, if he decides to switch it out, it's also in a range to come in and die to Stealth Rocks and Spikes. Spikes more normally than Stealth Rocks because he resists Stealth Rock. Anyways, though, I go back out into Alakazam. You guys saw this Alakazam before, and it did absolutely nothing because I just decided to make it a sacrificial lamb. So here I was hoping to give it a little bit better of a rep. He goes out into a Buffett who dies from the entry hazards. I actually didn't think that he'd swap out because so many of his Pokemon are so close to dying, so I really just wanted to make sure I finish off that Garchomp without dealing with it too much. He goes out to his own Alakazam, which interestingly to me takes entry hazard damage, which means maybe he's a Synchronize or Inner Focus. Those are his other two abilities. But fortunately, if there was a speed tie, I won it. If not, me having a timid nature helped out right there. I had to rebreed Alakazam completely because the other one I had was Modest, max speed, and then it got outsped by a Gengar. And after that, I rebred it to make it timid, then it wasn't max speed, and then it got outsped by another Alakazam, so then this is my third attempt at breeding this stupid Alakazam. But it's been worth it, because it was able to outspeed that other Alakazam. His Garchomp comes in and dies to the entry hazards, and then I think this Crawdon is going to come in and die to the entry hazard. So that is an entry hazard sweep, if you will. And that's really the point of this team, to kind of get everything to the point where my opponent's Pokemon are weakened enough so that my two faster sweepers can just kind of blow through it. Anyways, though, I'm about to go have my tournament match for ELO's theme team tournament. I'm using that Persona team that you all saw before, so wish me luck. And I hope you all have a great week, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye now.